most of the people who are out here are involved in narcotics. I would say 80% of the people who are involved in street crime or small-time petty crime, which is the bulkier crimes, are going to be either crack cocaine addicts, heroin addicts, or pill addicts. You'll find that they're feeding that addiction through stealing and prostitution.
Back here was like our house. This was where we all gathered. As you can tell, there's some very well-walked paths back here. I have bags of clothes out here somewhere, and I'm sure it's still here. Like this area here was really popular. We used to have like different beer crates that we used to get from the liquor store and set them up around here like it was our living room furniture. And then so sometimes it was not at all uncommon for us to pull clothes out of that giveaway box up there and lay them down back here. And this is where we sleep. This is where I slept many a night, so that if I did go to sleep, when I did go to sleep, so that I didn't have far to go in the morning to wake up to get my bottle, because I could not stand to be in this existence sober. My name is Renee Blaze. I grew up in a small town called Erie, Michigan. Dropped out of high school at 16. I ended up running away with a friend from school. I think we were freshmen or sophomores in high school. And we hitchhiked, this time from Erie, Michigan to Columbus, Ohio. And the next day we were hitchhiking back on the freeway and was arrested. Because we were both minors, they called our parents to come get us, and my dad refused to come get me. I was 18 and I moved to East St. Louis, Illinois, where my sister was located at the time, and that was where my addiction and the lifestyle to the drugs and the alcohol really took off. Probably within a 2-mile radius, there was like 6 showgirl clubs, for dance, stripping and things like that. So I got a job at one of these, and at 18, I wasn't even of legal age to do it, but I didn't. And I did that for years, and that's where the addiction to drugs really took off. I was, the girls that I was working with were older than I was, and it became a nightly thing, and I was making really good money, but nothing to show for it. After I got fired from the club that I danced in the longest, I moved into what they call a shooting gallery. It's a dope house where people shoot dope. So there's buttons of boy and buttons of girl that are sold there. Boy being the heroin, girl being cocaine. And this girl that I was running with in particularly, she was another girl that danced with myself, and she was a lot older than I was. She was a heroin addict, and because I was afraid of heroin, my sister had an addiction to heroin when I was younger, and I watched her withdrawal off heroin by herself in the basement of this condemned house with me at her side. I had a fear of heroin. So to fit in, I started shooting dope, but I was doing cocaine instead of heroin. I don't know where I crossed the line from use to addiction to full-fledged addiction, but it was somewhere along that time frame. I found myself unable to stop no matter what was happening. The hardest thing that I ever had to admit to, that I was actually a prostitute. That was the hardest. I'll never forget the first time I was arrested in Toledo, Ohio, because I had gotten into a undercover car and they was arresting me for prostitution. And that was, I couldn't even grasp that. I jumped out of the car and I ran. And they had to knock me down to the ground and everything just to arrest me because I couldn't grasp it mentally or emotionally that I've went to the lowest possible thing that a woman could do to receive drugs. I just could not swallow that one. I became kind of a frequent flyer in the Washington County Jail for misdemeanor charges. There was some people that had touched me while I was incarcerated here a couple of times. There's a CO by the name of Prophet. She never looked down on me as though I was anything less than a human being. She would joke around and, treat each one of us as though we were individuals instead of an inmate or a caged animal or so. There was another CO by the name of Carla Briggs, and she would come down and share this inspirational message, treating me like I was a person, even when I wasn't treating myself as I was one. Kind of ignited this small flame inside that I really wanted to be a person.
I'm Corporal Carla Wilson, and I've been here at the Sheriff's Department since 1991. And what I like about this administration is they allow us to be creative. They are initiating and implementing inmate behavior management, which is a whole new approach to supervising the inmates here at the jail. And it just makes this experience something different. We're able to provide that shift. And that provides a new beginning. And that's what jail can be and has been to many people that I've come across, a new beginning. Because if I have information that is going to make a lifelong change, why wouldn't I say it? Why wouldn't I share it? I am very fortunate because I get a chance in the recovering community to see a lot of our success stories like Renee, or people who are now working for the system like Renee, giving back, being a part of the solution. There are a lot of Renee Blazes out there that I come across. They just haven't seen or acknowledged their potential.
Finally got into treatment, went to treatment, graduated treatment, went into transitional housing with the help of Port because I couldn't find employment, so I had no income. Port helped finance my transitional housing for the first month, and I was able to land a job at this bakery warehouse just for the Christmas season though. I was absolutely thrilled with this job that was going to last 10 days, and I showed up every day and did my work and got a paycheck, and the job was over. It just so happened that the front office assistant that worked at Port was going on vacation for 2 weeks, and they needed somebody to fill his place, just to sit at the front desk, greet people as they come in, and kind of answer the phones. Just really basic office skill job, And so, by the recommendation of my case manager and my psychiatrist, the administrative director of the program asked me if I would like to fill that position. And I was so beside myself. I could not believe they picked me. And so I accepted the job, and I did it. And I seen people like myself coming in, people that were under the influence of drugs and alcohol and have lived a number of years that way. They were in a great deal of pain, wanted out but couldn't get out, and I understand that. And so I started making phone calls with them in the front office while I was working the front desk to detox and different treatment centers, and I started being able to help them to kind of get into the front door of recovery, and that made it was an amazing feeling for me. My job is quite fulfilling in regards to I get to help others that are so much like where I came from. A lot of the people that I work with right now, trying to guide them towards recovery, have seen me and know me from the streets when I was in active addiction and in that lifestyle. And they look at me, and a lot of them have said, if you can do it, I know I can do it. So just that alone, if one person is saved, or I can help one individual save their life, you know, it's all worth it to me. So I absolutely love my job. It's not even like a job, it's a blessing.
I would see Renee, you know, by, and we'd be, you know, in the same vicinity getting high, and I was still out there. And I didn't see her. I didn't see her walking the Ave. I didn't see her in places that I, you know, would normally see her. And I'm like, well, maybe she's in jail. Long story short, someone said that she'd gotten sober. And I was like, no way. Renee, sober? Not possible. So I had heard about J-Port, but I had went by there a few times, and me, even in my addiction, and I tried to put myself above everybody else, no matter what I was doing for my addiction. I hit the lowest I could hit. Then I'm in jail doing the most time that I ever did in my life, and I was saying, well, you know what? It would be a blessing to work with Renee Blaze, and I prayed when I get out of there. I said, you gonna go? As soon as you get out, go to J-Port. I got there. First time I went there, I didn't see her. And then the next week, I seen her, and I could not stop crying. I was so happy because everything that I asked for, she was where I wanted to go, and she's where I wanted to be. And I figured that if she could make it from the spot that we both came from, and if she could stay sober, then I couldn't see nobody else helping me but her. I don't think I would even begin to try to stay sober. It was seeing her and what we've been through and her, you know what I'm saying? It's just so inspiring. And you know, it's still a lot of stuff that I gotta work on, but I trust her opinion, and I trust her so much that I know that she's got my best interest at heart. And before I run anything past anybody, I run past her. She's my friend.
Wow, Sheriff, that's really impactful. I'm really amazed with you and your officers are doing here to change the lives of people. That's impressive.
Yeah, Renee's story is a great story. And I think it's a good example of what can happen when the system sort of pulls together. Mm-hmm. So in Washington County, we push this continuum of sanctions and services, which is really a philosophy of making sure that people are held accountable for their behavior, but also create an environment where they have the opportunity to position themselves for success. And I'm really proud of our corrections staff. They really get it. They get what our role is in that process. And oftentimes it's really just to support people. So when an inmate's in the jail and they have come to their own realization that they can help themselves, our ability to help position them for that and to partner with our human services providers to really help people move along in that process and maybe become contributing members in the community. It's really exciting. I'm really proud of the Sheriff's Office staff and the role that they can play in helping someone turn their lives around.
Well, I agree, and I'll tell you, from all of us from LaFontaine Automotive Group, we're proud of you and we're glad you're doing what you're doing. So we're looking forward to the next episode of Beyond the Badge. We'll see you next time.
This episode of Beyond the Badge was made possible by the LaFontaine Automotive Group of Washtenaw County, home of the 995 oil change, Ann Arbor Buick GMC, Dexter Chevrolet, and Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Saline.